The guards came at midnight. Jake Morrison barely had time to pull on his uniform before they hauled him from his quarters, their clawed hands gripping his arms with inhuman strength. No explanation, no charges read aloud. Just the cold march through the corridors of the Spire, the obsidian tower that had erupted from the heart of New York 3 years ago when the Vel'kira arrived. Everyone knew what happened to humans summoned to the Empress's private chambers. They didn't come back. Jake's mind raced. Had they found out about Lena? His heart hammered against his ribs. The secret meetings in the abandoned subway tunnels, the stolen moments in the ruins of Central Park, Dr. Lena Torres, brilliant and fierce, the woman who'd kept him sane in this nightmare, the woman he loved. The guards stopped before massive doors carved with symbols that hurt to look at. One of them pressed a clawed hand against the surface, and the doors swung inward with a sound like a dying star. They shoved Jake inside, and the doors sealed behind him with terrible finality. The chamber was vast and dark, lit by bioluminescent veins that pulsed in the walls like alien arteries. At the far end, seated on a throne that seemed grown rather than built, was Empress Vel'kira herself. Jake had seen her before, but always from a distance. Up close, she was terrifying. 9 feet tall, her form humanoid but wrong in subtle ways. Her skin shifted between deep purple and midnight blue, covered in patterns that moved like oil on water. 4 eyes arranged vertically on her angular face, fixed on him with an intensity that made his knees weak. But it was her presence that truly overwhelmed him, a psychic weight that pressed against his mind like a physical force. Commander Morrison. Her voice resonated in his skull more than his ears. "Do you know why you're here?" Jake forced himself to stand straight to meet her gaze. If he was going to die, he'd do it with dignity. "No, Your Eminence." "Liar." The word cut through the air. Vel'kira raised one elongated hand, and a holographic display materialized between them. Jake's stomach dropped. It showed him and Lena just 2 nights ago, standing close in the shadows of a ruined building. The image was crystal clear, enhanced beyond what human technology could achieve. "I've been watching you for 3 months, Commander." Vel'kira rose from her throne, her movement fluid and predatory. Every meeting, every touch, every whispered word in the darkness. Jake's hands clenched into fists. Fear turned to anger. "If you're going to kill me, just do it. But leave her alone. Lena has nothing to do with what? The Resistance?" Vel'kira's laugh was like crystal breaking. "I know exactly who Dr. Torres is. I know she's developing a biological weapon in her laboratory beneath the old hospital. I know she's part of the cell planning to sabotage our atmospheric processors. I know everything, Commander." The world tilted beneath Jake's feet. If Vel'kira knew all this, why hadn't she struck? Why let it continue? The Empress circled him slowly, studying him like a specimen. "I've conquered 47 worlds, Commander Morrison. I've watched civilizations burn and rebuild under our rule. I've seen every form of resistance, every type of rebellion. But you humans," she paused, her 4 eyes narrowing, "you confuse me." "We won't stop fighting," Jake said, surprised by the steadiness in his voice. "You can kill me, kill Lena, kill every human on Earth. We'll never submit." "I know." Vel'kira stopped in front of him. "That's not what confuses me. It's this." She gestured to the hologram, to the image of him and Lena, this thing you call love. "This bond that makes you weak yet somehow strong. This willingness to sacrifice everything for one person." Jake stared at her. "You don't understand love. My species abandoned such things millennia ago. We engineered them out of ourselves when we reached for the stars. Emotion was inefficient. Connection was weakness. We became perfect, Commander, united in purpose. Unstoppable." Her voice held something that might have been bitterness. "And now we're dying." The revelation hit Jake like a physical blow. "What?" Vel'kira turned away, her imposing figure silhouetted against the pulsing walls. Our birth rates have dropped to nothing. Our people feel no drive to create new life, no bond to hold families together. We're immortal, Commander Morrison, and we're going extinct. In another 1,000 years, the Vel'kira will be nothing but empty ships drifting between dead stars. Jake's mind reeled. The conquerors of Earth, the unstoppable force that had crushed humanity's resistance in weeks, were dying out. Why are you telling me this? Because I believe you humans hold the answer. Vel'kira turned back to him, and for the first time, he saw something other than predatory confidence in her eyes. Desperation. This love. This connection. It's what drives you to create, to build families, to sacrifice for one another. Our scientists have studied it, tried to synthesize it, but they fail. It's not in the chemistry alone. It's something more. You want to learn how to love, Jake said slowly, the impossibility of it washing over him. I want to save my species, and I believe studying your bond with Dr. Torres is the key. Vel'kira moved closer, her presence overwhelming. So here's my offer, Commander. Help me understand this thing you feel for her. Let me observe it, analyze it, comprehend it. In exchange, I will release Earth from our occupation. Jake's laugh was harsh and bitter. You expect me to believe that? This is a trick. No trick. I swear it on the empty void that birthed us. Vel'kira's voice resonated with power. But there is a condition. You must also tell me where Dr. Torres is hiding. Bring her here. Let me study you both. And there it was. The trap. Jake felt his heart breaking. If I tell you where she is, you'll capture the entire resistance cell. You'll execute them all. Yes, Vel'kira said simply, unless you convince me that this love is worth preserving, worth changing everything for. Jake closed his eyes. Betray Lena and possibly save Earth, or refuse and watch the occupation continue forever. And if I refuse, then tomorrow I will reduce Chicago, Los Angeles, and London to ash, and the day after, 3 more cities. Every day you refuse, 3 more cities burn, until you give me what I want or there's nothing left of your species but memories. The chamber seemed to spin. Jake opened his eyes and met Vel'kira's gaze. Every instinct screamed at him to refuse, to spit defiance in her face. But those were millions of lives, men, women, children who'd already suffered 3 years of occupation. No, he said quietly. Vel'kira's eyes widened, genuine surprise crossing her alien features. No? Kill me if you want. Burn the cities, but I won't betray her. Jake's voice grew stronger. That's what love is, Your Eminence. It's choosing one person above everything else, even when it's stupid, even when it's wrong. It's knowing that if I betray Lena to save millions, I'll destroy the very thing you want to understand, because love without trust is nothing. Love without sacrifice means nothing. For a long moment, Vel'kira simply stared at him. Then, slowly, she began to laugh. It was a sound of wonder, not mockery. Fascinating. You're willing to die, willing to let your entire species burn? For one person, yes, even though it's illogical. Even though the mathematics demand you sacrifice her to save the many. Love isn't mathematics, Jake said. Vel'kira moved to a window that overlooked the ruins of New York, the city dark except for the bioluminescent towers the Vel'kira had grown throughout it. I won't burn the cities, Commander Morrison. Jake's breath caught. What? You've already taught me something valuable. Love is not rational, cannot be calculated or predicted, and perhaps that's what my people lost when we engineered away our capacity for it. The beautiful, terrible irrationality of caring for one being above all others. She turned back to him. I'm changing my offer. Help me understand love, truly understand it, and I will free Earth. But I won't force you to betray Dr. Torres. How can I trust you? You can't. That's the point, isn't it? Trust is part of love. Vel'kira's expression was unreadable. I'll prove my sincerity. Choose a city. Tomorrow, I will withdraw all Vel'kira forces from it. Complete withdrawal. Your people will have it back, free and clear. Jake's mind raced. This had to be a trick, but what if it wasn't? What if this alien empress truly was desperate enough to bargain? Denver, he said. Withdraw from Denver. Done. And in exchange, you will teach me. Not by betraying your beloved, but by showing me what this bond truly means. By trusting me, as impossible as that seems. And, Lena, Vel'kira's silence stretched too long. My forces captured her 17 minutes ago, Commander. She's being held 3 levels below us. Rage exploded through Jake. He lunged forward without thinking, knowing it was suicide, not caring. Vel'kira's guards materialized from the shadows, slamming him to the ground, their weapons powered up with a whine that promised obliteration. No. Vel'kira's command stopped them. Let him up. Jake struggled to his feet, breathing hard. You said you wouldn't. I said I wouldn't force you to betray her. I never said I didn't already know where she was. Vel'kira's voice was calm. She's unharmed. She's insurance, Commander. You'll help me understand, love, and when I'm satisfied, you'll both go free. Both of you, along with your entire planet. I don't believe you. I know, but I'm going to prove it anyway. Vel'kira gestured to her guards. Take him to comfortable quarters. Let him rest. Tomorrow we begin. As the guards escorted him from the chamber, Jake's mind spun with possibilities, dangers, and the terrible hope that maybe, impossibly, the alien Empress was telling the truth, because if she wasn't, he'd just lost everything. And if she was, he was about to attempt something no human had ever done, teach an alien conqueror how to feel. The next morning, Jake was brought to a different chamber, one with windows overlooking the city. Vel'kira was already there, watching holographic displays that showed troop movements across the globe. As Jake entered, she gestured, and the displays shifted to show Denver. Massive Vel'ka ships were rising from the city, their dark hulls blotting out the sun as they climbed toward orbit. Ground forces marched in perfect formation toward transport vessels. The atmospheric processors shut down one by one, their bioluminescent glow fading. I keep my word, Commander, Vel'kira said without turning. Denver is free. Jake watched in stunned silence as the occupation forces withdrew completely. News feeds from human resistance channels showed people emerging from hiding, crying, celebrating in the streets. It was real. She'd actually done it. Why? He asked. Because I need you to trust me. And trust must be earned. Vel'kira finally turned to face him. Now teach me. Tell me what love feels like. Jake struggled to find words. It's like drowning and breathing at the same time. It's terror and joy. It's knowing someone completely and still wanting to know more. Poetic, but vague. Give me something tangible. When Lena walks into a room, everything else disappears, Jake said slowly. When she's in danger, I'd tear the world apart to save her. When she smiles, it's like the sun coming out after years of darkness. That's love. Vel'kira's 4 eyes studied him with an intensity that made his skin crawl. And you would die for her, without hesitation. Why? Your death would cause her pain if you truly loved her. Wouldn't you choose to live? Love isn't about choosing the painless option. Sometimes it's about making the sacrifice that breaks you both, because it's the right thing to do. They talked for hours. Vel'kira asked questions that cut to the heart of human emotion, human connection. Jake answered as honestly as he could, though explaining love to someone who'd never felt it was like describing color to the blind. But something was changing in the Empress. Her questions grew more personal, more searching. I had a mate once, she said finally as the sun set over the ruined city, before we purged emotion from our species. I don't remember her name. I don't remember what she looked like. But sometimes, in the space between thoughts, I feel an emptiness that seems to have her shape. Jake felt an unexpected pang of sympathy. I'm sorry. Don't be. It was necessary for our evolution. Or so we believed. Vel'kira's voice carried a weight of ages. Now I wonder if we didn't evolve at all. If we simply cut out the parts of ourselves that made us whole. A commotion outside interrupted them. The doors burst open and a Vel'kase commander strode in, his form more heavily armored than Vel'kira's, his movements aggressive. He spoke in the Vel'kase language, harsh and guttural, but Jake's translator implant caught the meaning. This human contamination must end. The council demands your presence. Vel'kira rose, her presence suddenly dangerous. I am Empress. The council demands nothing. The council questions your judgment. Releasing Denver was weakness. This obsession with human emotion is beneath us. The commander's 4 eyes fixed on Jake with open contempt. "We are Velkesh. We are conquerors. We don't learn from our prey." "Careful, Cortan," Vel'kira said softly. "You approach treason. I approach truth. Half the fleet agrees with me. This experiment ends now. The human dies, we resume full occupation, and you remember what you are." The tension in the room was explosive. Jake's hand instinctively went to his sidearm, though he knew it would be useless against Velkesh armor. But Vel'kira simply smiled, and it was a terrifying expression. "Leave us, Commander Morrison," she said. "Your Eminence, now." Jake reluctantly backed toward the door, but he could hear the confrontation continue as he left, Vel'kira's voice rising in fury, Cortan's responding with cold conviction. The seeds of rebellion were growing in the Velkesh command structure, and Jake had a terrible feeling things were about to get much worse. He was right. 3 days later, everything fell apart. Jake was in his quarters when the alarms started, a bone-shaking wail that meant attack. He rushed to the window and saw Velkesh ships firing on each other in the sky above New York. Brilliant energy beams cutting through the darkness. Coral. Civil war had erupted among the conquerors. Guards burst into his room, but these weren't Vel'kira's. They grabbed him roughly, and their leader spoke in accented English. "Commander Cortan sends his regards. The Empress's experiment is over. You're to be executed at dawn as a message to all humans. There will be no mercy, no freedom, only submission." They dragged him through corridors filled with fighting. Velkesh warriors clashed with each other, their weapons tearing through the spire's walls, their battle cries mixing with screams. The civil war was brutal and sudden, years of resentment exploding into violence. They threw Jake into a cell deep in the spire's lower levels, and there, already imprisoned, was Lena. "Jake!" She rushed to the bars separating their cells, her hands reaching through. He grabbed them, holding tight. She looked thinner than he remembered, tired and scared, but alive. God, she was alive. "Are you hurt?" he demanded. "No. They've kept me isolated, asked me questions about the resistance, about you. I didn't tell them anything." Her eyes searched his face. "What's happening? Why is there fighting?" Jake quickly explained everything. Vel'kira's confession, the deal, Denver's freedom, and Cortan's coup. Lena listened with growing horror. "So it's real? They're actually dying out?" "Yes. And now the Hardliners are taking over. Even if Vel'kira wanted to free Earth, she might not survive the next few hours." "Then we're dead anyway," Lena said quietly. "Cortan will execute us and restart the full occupation. Everything Vel'kira promised dies with her." Jake pressed his forehead against the bars, as close to her as he could get. "I'm sorry. I tried to protect you." "I know. That's why I love you, you idiot." Lena smiled through tears. "You always try to save everyone, even when it's impossible. I'd do anything for you, I know. And that's the problem." Her smile faded. "Jake, if you get a chance to escape, if you can save yourself or help Vel'kira stop this coup, you have to take it, even if it means leaving me behind." "No, I won't." "Yes, you will. Because if Cortan wins, humanity loses everything. But if Vel'kira survives, maybe there's still hope. Maybe she really will free Earth." Lena squeezed his hands tight. "That's what love means too, Jake. Letting go when you have to. Making the impossible choice." Before Jake could respond, an explosion rocked the spire. The cell walls cracked, and alarms blared. Then Vel'kira was there, moving through the smoke, her form wounded and bleeding a luminescent fluid. Her guards flanked her, returning fire at pursuing enemies. "No time," she said, her voice strained. She ripped the cell doors apart with her bare hands, metal shrieking. "Cortan has seized the command center. He's launching a full assault on Denver to prove his strength. Thousands will die." "Why are you here?" Jake demanded. "Because I made you a promise, and because you taught me something important." Vel'kira grabbed them both, her strength inhuman. "Love requires trust. It requires sacrifice. And sometimes it requires fighting for someone even when logic says to abandon them." They ran through the chaos of the spire, Vel'kira's guards providing cover. The Empress was wounded badly, moving slower than she should, but she pushed forward with desperate determination. They reached an elevator shaft and Vel'kira's remaining guards held their position as she worked the controls. "Where are we going?" Lena asked. "The command center. I need to stop Cortan before he kills thousands in Denver." Vel'kira looked at Jake. "I need your help, Commander." "My help? I'm just a human. You're the human who taught me what it means to care about someone beyond calculation, to fight for them, even when the odds are impossible." Vel'kira's four eyes blazed. "Cortan controls the fleet, but I control the Spire's central systems. If I can reach the core, I can override his commands, stop the attack on Denver. But I'll need someone to hold off his forces while I work. Someone willing to die buying time for others." Jake understood. This was the test. The final question. Would he trust Vel'kira enough to fight alongside her, even though she'd conquered his world? Would he risk everything, including Lena's safety, on the chance that an alien Empress could be redeemed? He looked at Lena. She nodded, tears streaming down her face. "Go! Save them! I'll come back for you," Jake promised. "I know. That's what you do." She kissed him through the bars of the elevator, brief and desperate. "Now go be a hero." The elevator shot upward. Vel'kira handed Jake a Vel'Kash plasma rifle, the weapon almost too heavy for him to lift. "This will be suicide, Commander. My forces are scattered. Cortan's warriors hold the command center in strength." "Good thing I'm used to impossible odds," Jake said, checking the rifle's charge. They emerged into a war zone. The command center was a vast sphere at the Spire's heart, filled with holographic displays and control stations. Cortan stood at the center, surrounded by loyalist warriors, directing the assault on Denver. On the displays, Jake could see Vel'Kash ships descending on the city they'd freed just days ago, weapons charging for bombardment. "Vel'kira," Cortan's voice boomed. "You're too late. Denver will burn, and the humans will remember their place. This madness ends now." "The only madness is yours," Vel'kira shot back. "Stand down, Cortan. This isn't our way. Our way is conquest. Our way is strength." Cortan gestured, and his warriors raised their weapons. "You've forgotten what we are, Empress. Let me remind you." The battle erupted. Jake dove behind a control station as plasma fire tore through the air. He returned fire, the rifle kicking like a living thing, and saw two of Cortan's warriors fall. But there were dozens more, and only Jake and Vel'kira's handful of remaining guards stood between them and the Empress. Vel'kira fought her way toward the central command terminal, her movements still fluid despite her wounds. She was magnificent and terrible, a force of nature contained in mortal form. But Jake could see she was fading. The luminescent blood leaked from multiple wounds. She wouldn't last much longer. A warrior charged Jake's position. He fired, missed, and the alien was on him. They grappled, the warrior's strength overwhelming. Jake felt ribs crack, felt the warrior's claws tearing toward his throat. Then a plasma bolt took the warrior in the back, and he collapsed. Jake looked up to see Lena, somehow escaped from the lower levels, holding a salvaged rifle. "Told you I wasn't staying put," she said, helping him up. Together they fought, human and Vel'Kash, side by side against impossible odds. Jake saw the irony and didn't care. Vel'kira reached the command terminal and began working, her hands flying across holographic controls. On the displays, the assault ships over Denver began to falter, their weapons powering down as she wrestled control from Cortan. "No!" Cortan roared. He charged toward Vel'kira, and Jake knew the Empress couldn't defend herself while she worked. He did the only thing he could. He threw himself into Cortan's path. The impact was like hitting a wall. Cortan batted him aside contemptuously, and Jake felt something inside him break. But he'd bought seconds, and seconds were enough. Vel'kira's guards reached Cortan, engaging him in brutal close combat. And Vel'kira's fingers found the final command. "Override accepted," she said. On the displays, every Vel'Kash ship in orbit suddenly went dark, their systems shut down. The assault on Denver stopped cold. "It's done. The attack is finished." But Cortan broke free from the guards, mortally wounded but driven by rage. He lunged for Vel'kira, claws extended. And Jake, broken and bleeding, found his rifle. He fired. The bolt took Cortan in the back, and the warrior commander fell at Vel'kira's feet. dying. Silence descended on the command center. The surviving loyalists, seeing their leader dead and their ships disabled, lowered their weapons. Ksh! Vel'kira stood among the carnage, looking down at Jake where he lay bleeding on the floor. Lena was already at his side, putting pressure on his wounds, calling for medical help. Vel'kira knelt beside them, her own wounds forgotten. You saved my life, Commander Morrison. After everything my people did to yours, you still chose to save me. That's what love teaches, Jake said through gritted teeth. It's not about deserving, it's about choosing. I chose to believe you meant what you said. I chose to trust that you could change. And I will honor that trust. Vel'kira placed one massive hand gently on his shoulder. I swear on everything I am, humanity will be free. Not just Denver, all of Earth. We'll leave, Commander. We'll take what you've taught me and find another way to save my people. A way that doesn't involve conquest. Your Eminence, one of the surviving guards said. The fleet awaits your orders. Vel'kira rose, towering and terrible and beautiful. Send the withdrawal order. All Vel'Ka's forces are to leave Earth immediately. Full evacuation within 1 planetary rotation. The guard hesitated. Your Eminence, the Council will. The Council will do as I command, or they will find themselves following Cortan into the empty void. Vel'kira's voice resonated with absolute authority. This human taught me what we lost when we engineered away our emotions. He taught me that strength isn't just conquest. It's the courage to trust, to sacrifice, to choose connection over isolation. She looked down at Jake and Lena, the human couple holding each other among the ruins of battle. I don't know if my species can be saved, but I know that we won't save ourselves by destroying others. Commander Morrison showed me that. He chose to believe in me when every rational thought said not to. He fought for me when I was his enemy. That's love. That's the thing we lost. And maybe, somehow, we can find it again. Jake felt consciousness slipping away, Lena's voice calling his name, medical personnel rushing in. His last sight was Vel'kira standing at the command terminal, ordering the liberation of Earth, the alien empress who'd learned to feel, who'd been changed by the impossible gamble of one human's trust. 3 months later, Jake stood with Lena on a hill overlooking New York. The spire was gone, demolished by the departing Vel'kesh. The bioluminescent towers were dark and slowly being dismantled. The sky was clear of alien ships for the first time in 3 years. Do you think she'll really do it? Lena asked, leaning against him. Find a way to save her people without conquering anyone else? I don't know, Jake admitted, but I think she'll try. And maybe that's enough. A message beacon activated on his communicator. Vel'kira's voice transmitted across the vastness of space. Thank you, Commander Morrison, for teaching me that love is not weakness, that trust is not foolish, that sacrifice gives meaning to existence. My people have much to learn, but we will learn it. And perhaps, someday we will return to Earth not as conquerors, but as friends. Until then, know that one alien empress understands love, because a human showed her what it means to choose another above everything else, even above reason itself. The message ended. Jake and Lena stood together, watching the sun set over a free Earth, and knew that whatever came next, they'd face it together, because that was what love meant. It meant standing beside someone when the world ended, and when it began again. It meant trust in the face of impossibility. It meant choosing, always choosing, to believe in each other. And somewhere in the infinite dark between stars, an alien empress learned to feel again, carrying the lessons she'd learned written in sacrifice and trust, and the beautiful, terrible irrationality of loving someone more than everything else combined.